So for those of you that don't know, I'm a huge Ben Hogan fan. So much so that I named my firstborn child after him. He wrote 2 books, but to me, my favorite book was The 5 Lessons of Golf, The Modern Fundamentals. He was one of the first people to ever talk specifically about some of the nuances in the muscles that we use and the muscles that we feel in a proper golf swing, okay? And he was really big on what he called the swing wreckers, the muscles not to use. And in our trail hand, in my right hand, it's the forefinger and the thumb, okay? What happens here, as soon as you start to activate this forefinger and thumb, especially in the downswing, there's a muscle that goes along the outside of your right arm all the way up to your right shoulder, and it's a very powerful muscle. It can generate some force, but it's in an off-plane direction. So as soon as I get here, I see so many of my students activating these swing wreckers here, pushing on the back end of the shaft. That begins to internally rotate this shoulder, and that starts putting our right elbow into more of a push position, okay? And it's happening because they've got this urge to try to hit the ball from the top, right? To speed the club up, or maybe to try and square the club up, but we don't want it to happen, right? So he was so big, he always talked about using the inside muscles, right? The muscles along the insides of my arms. And that's what I feel when I do this. That is not what I feel when I start to do this. And I can show you many different student examples where you'll see this same effect. As soon as we start to trigger these swing wreckers, there's a chain that goes right up into my shoulder, and that starts to pitch the shaft into a very steep downswing position. Okay, so another way to look at it, I've got a little rubber band here, an exercise band. If I was going to arm wrestle somebody, that's exactly the movement I would be initiating. And I can feel all the way up here and along the outside of my right arm, I can feel those muscles starting to trigger this movement to try to take someone down in an arm wrestling match. And it all starts with the forefinger and the thumb. As soon as I start to grip there, everything else activates. But that's exactly the opposite of what we want in the downswing. Imagine if you were trying to reverse arm wrestle and we were trying to get somebody to actually go this way. That's the feeling we want to start the downswing, okay? So it's the dead opposite of what I see most people doing. If I put that into a golf posture, right, and I was kind of back in my shoulder turn, we want to see this happening to start the downswing and then on into further parts of it. So what you're noticing there is the chain of events in order to get the club in the proper position when you get up to the top is do not initiate by pushing with this forefinger and thumb. Just that little bit of activation, now I start to feel the muscles along the outside of my right arm, outside of my right shoulder. So many of you have been doing that for years, and it generates some power, but like I said, it's usually off plane, it's usually across the ball and turning into glancing shots. It's going to be hard to feel whether you're doing it or not because you're so used to initiating that way. Okay? So what we can do first is get up to the top, and you'll see here what actually starts to happen. Instead of initiating with the forefinger and thumb, the chain of events goes pinky finger, ring finger, middle finger, forefinger, and then thumb. So if I had my fingers off the club, it would work this way as I started down. So in this fashion, to get this club to start to pitch and shallow out, and now I feel a totally different sensation. I feel all the muscles along the inside of my arm, and my right scap is actually starting to lay down as opposed to protrude outward, and I get this rounded look to my upper right shoulder. So the drill that he prescribed, right, and you can see him demonstrate it in his book, he would have people hit shots with those swing wreckers off the club totally. So he was very famous for hitting many practice shots like that, but also Annika Sorenstam, right, #1 in the world for 7 straight years, female. She did this a ton. It was one of her staple drills that she would do all the time just to get that club properly transitioning from the top. So I swing to the top like normal. You can see my forefinger and thumb are totally off, so they can't begin that tensing up to initiate the outside, the wrong muscles. They're off up to the top, and then I start to feel the right muscles, okay? And the right muscles being actually trying to reverse arm wrestle somebody. what that would feel like. And as I sit here and do this, I know I'm much stronger this way. I mean, probably twice as strong as I am of the force that I can put this way. But remember, that's not where we want the power here. We're just trying to get the club into the right position. Now the club is going to swing much faster because it's on a better plane. Even though you get to the top and this feels very powerful, by the time you get to hitting the golf ball, all that power is going to be gone because it's going to end up wiping across, face open, glancing blows, miss hits, steep angle of attack. You know the symptoms. Okay, so start off by taking a short iron, remove your forefinger and thumb, and then just get up to the top and start to feel some of that sensation and what that really feels like. I feel all the muscles inside here. I feel this laying down, and boy, I am ready and in position to deliver this club into the ball from the inside with a lot more centrifugal force and a lot more energy compared to this path. And then hit a couple easy ones, just with that forefinger and thumb off, feeling that club transition and shallow a little bit as you go to do it. So that was great. Even though it felt very different here as I started down, I could feel myself getting into a very distinctly different position. And I know too, because I was one of those that was doing this so much, especially around my college age years where I was really struggling for a period of about 3 or 4 years. I was initiating so hard from the top with the wrong muscles. It took me a while to get out of it. But that's a great drill that'll help you to get out of using the wrong muscles. I hope that helps, and I'll see you soon. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. If you want to get a little more in depth and really learn about all the pieces of how to shallow that club consistently, how the backswing influences, how our transition influences, I have a free 3-part training series called The Magic Move. And all you need to do is go to the link down below, sign up for it, and you'll start receiving these free in your email as soon as possible. Have a great day.